Do you remember when you were a kid and people were saying that you were the future? It's been said over and over and in many different ways, because for reasons that we are able to see clearly now, the world in that moment seemed like it could be better. Today, those kids are all grown up. We are the future and we are reimagining a better world. In the face of everything going on across the planet, we still love, hope, create, and have fun, because these are all the things we want for the future. But why wait until tomorrow? The future is now. You're tuned in to the Reimagine Spokane podcast called The Future is Now. My name is Ryan Louie, and I'm here with the Asians for Collective Liberation in Spokane Environmental Justice Program Manager, Lea Molina.
Hello.
Thank you so much for being here today. We're going to jump right in so quickly. You don't get a moment to think.
Great. That's ideal.
Can you share a little bit about yourself and the pivotal moment in your journey that inspired you to get involved in this work?
Sure. So, a little bit about me. I am the Environmental Justice Program Manager, as you said. I am new to Spokane. I've been here for a couple of years now. I'm from Bakersfield, California. So where I'm from is really affected by climate change in a lot of ways. And I consider myself a climate migrant because I did travel here for a better quality of life. I've had asthma my whole life. And so that's really impacted by the region that I am from. And so to talk about a pivotal moment would talk really about my entire life and my journey up until this point. There's been a lot of moments in my life where I didn't realize it, but it was directly impacted by the environment around me. And as I grow and get older, I realize how much of my experience was really and truly impacted by the environment around me. So it's not just one pivotal moment. I think it's just my journey as a whole has been really defined by the climate. So I'm really excited to be a part of this work and to be on the team. I'm fairly new to the team, but I'm very grateful for you and for the staff guiding me during this journey. But it really does align with my own values and what's important to me. So I'm very happy to be here today.
Thanks for sharing. And we're also glad to
sure.
have you on the team.
Yay.
The next question here, number 2, what are the biggest challenges or gaps our organization is addressing in environmental justice for marginalized communities? And can you share some impact stories that showcase the work you've been doing in the community?
Sure. So I think the biggest challenges for our organization is definitely capacity, is having the manpower and the funds to actually make impactful change in our community. And I think that with new laws coming to Washington, it really is valuable for our organization and other organizations like ours to be able to do and participate in sustainable change. So I think the biggest challenge for a lot of orgs like ours is having that capacity and having that continuous support to be able to share the resources that our community has available to our community. So I think that that's a huge, huge challenge. And I think that it's a continuous battle, but I think that I see the end of the tunnel. I'm very optimistic about it. And I don't remember the second half of your question.
That's fair. Can you share some impact stories about what are we doing in the community to address environmental justice?
So I think we're new in our journey, so it's still being developed. But I think that for me, some of the impact stories that I've encountered thus far is community members not realizing that there is a community of support with our organization and others like us to share our stories and to support each other in those stories. I think that a lot of community members who care about climate change and who are actively involved may be kind of siloed in maybe one organization specifically, or one club, or one group of people. But I do really think that Spokane is a community that serves and a community that is really engaged, and they all, or most of the people that I've met thus far, have really shown concern for the environment in which they live. And I think that we have a lot here for, our community to participate in environmental justice. And it really is just about knowing those resources and knowing that there's different groups all over that care about this. And studies do show that if you know somebody who cares about climate change, you're more inclined to care about it. So it really is about developing those relationships and continuing to grow our foundation so that people see us as an organization that really truly cares about environmental justice, and that they can come to us to receive resources and receive support. So I do think that we are defining ourselves as an organization that is one of the organizations that care about environmental justice in Spokane.
Hmm. Would you care to talk about the intersections of environmental justice and racial and social justice?
Sure. I consider myself someone who is an intersectional environmentalist. So, what that really means is that I understand that in order to address climate change, you also have to understand the different disparities that minority groups face and lower income groups face when it comes to climate change. We all deserve to have equitable resources, and we all deserve to have clean air. We all deserve to have access to green spaces, but that's not the case. And to ignore that aspect of environmental justice would be ignoring a huge part of people that are affected by it. So, as I do my work, it's very aligned in an intersectional approach and not leaving out the people that are most affected, because they usually have the answers and the power to create change more than anyone else in the community.
Mhm. What's that saying? The people closest to the problem are closest to the solution.
Exactly. I truly feel that way. And with the work that we're doing, we're really trying to establish relationships with those people in a way that is beneficial for them as well as it's beneficial for the environment, to be able to create that change and to share their opinions and to share their experiences and how they've directly been impacted by climate change.
Hmm. And that kind of leads us into our next question. Why is it important for people to be politically engaged, and how can we encourage more people, especially the younger generation, to get involved, particularly around environmental justice, considering the diverse cultural backgrounds in our community?
Sure. So I think that people sometimes have a misconception when it comes to being involved with politics and the government. They have this idea that their voice doesn't matter, that their vote doesn't matter, or that being led into a certain direction anyway. And I believe that that could be farther from the truth. I think that we all have power to create change. And it's not just about the presidential election. There's so many things on the ballot that directly affect our communities. And if not for that reason to get out and to vote, I don't know what is. I think that if you are concerned about where your money's going, about how government works, then you should be at the front of the polls, because oftentimes the young people and, anyone who doesn't necessarily think of themselves as political, don't participate. And that's unfortunate, because those numbers really can create change. And yeah. I don't know what the other aspects of your question were either, so you can repeat them if you like.
How can we encourage more people to be involved in environmental justice?
Yeah. I think that's an ongoing conversation that you and I have had previously about the change in culture and how I believe that to really create change and people caring about climate change is by changing our culture. And I think that starts with a person to person relationship and a person to person conversation about saying, hey, this matters to me. You know, do you care about me? And maybe if you do, then you'll listen to what I have to say about this or what my experience is with the climate and environmental justice and racial justice and how that coincides with the environment. So I think it really is about building relationships. Have a lot of promise for our young people. I find that a lot of young people are um, they're rejecting the ways of society before them in a great way too. They're saying we don't want fast fashion. We don't want these people in government. We don't like how things are going. And I personally believe that the smartest people in the world are the youngest people in the world because they're not necessarily engaged with all of the mess of life and they're more interested in how these things have impacted them. And as I talk to young people, I see that a lot of them have been affected by climate more so in their entire life than most other people. They've had to deal with it since they were little, so it's truly a part of their life. And I think that to change our culture would be to listen to those people and their experiences and understand that, you know, everyone has some type of connection to climate and climate change. They just may not know it, but we're all affected by it. So it's important to share stories and to continue to share those stories. And I think that that is definitely the start of how we can grow our community to fight against it and fight against climate change.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to throw in this other question about being politically engaged. And let's see, I want to put together a random question about how you would connect environmental justice to being politically engaged.
Oh, it's
How
one
would
and
you
the
do that? How would
same.
you do that?
How to do that?
Maybe not how to do that. You said it's one and the same. Keep going.
Sure. I believe it's one and the same. Environmental justice and being political are two of the same things, just like self care is a political act, just like taking care of yourself is a political act. These are ways that our society has tried to oppress us and tried to stop us from creating solutions for these things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's still not totally interconnected with one another. In order to be political, you have to, in some way, acknowledge the environment around you. And it's one and the same. Again, those things are connected. So to be engaged in environmental justice is to have in some way a political act and a political opinion. And people don't like to think that. They don't like to, you know, always put out the word political, or they use the term to stop them from sharing their opinions of certain situations. But everything is connected again. And so when people ignore an aspect of the environment because it could be a political statement, they're still making their choice. They're just making a choice to avoid or, you know, to stay ignorant to the facts, but it doesn't take it away. You know, it's still very much there. And I think that politicians in particular try to ignore climate change as a way to ignore it and to just avoid it, but it doesn't stop climate change from happening. And so, in order to really create impactful change, it's important that we actually acknowledge that it's something that's happening, and then we can move forward thereafter.
hmm And just thinking about the environment around us, it's like people have to think, how did this come to be, or what are the policies,
Right.
like the root of the word political and policy, that they're related, that politics is shaped the way the world around us and then
For
the
sure.
built and natural world looks and is interacted with, and who can do what with it.
Right.
So
Right. And I think that there's lots of different other places in the world that we can really look to see how it's done successfully, because there are a lot of things that in the States, the practices that we find to be completely normal that are not normal, and that most of the
like what?
other, so for instance, well, just to give a little stat, 4% of the world's population is the United States. So we only make up 4% of the population of the world. So it's a lot less than people think. And so I think that people find that the way that we do things may be typical, may be normal, when they're actually not. Something as simple as throwing away your glass containers after their first use, instead of having a system put in place where you can recycle that over and over and over again. We don't have that here. We also, it's still very normal to use paper and plastic in grocery stores, but that's not necessarily normal for most other cultures in most other regions in the world. So people may have an assumption of what is normal, but it doesn't mean that it is. And actually, a lot of the time, our ancestors didn't do things like that. I think that we have a lot of decolonization to do and a lot of re-indigenization to do in order to understand the ways of our ancestors and how they did things that were actually way more sustainable than what the United States is telling us is normal.
Yeah, I heard that. So
Heard it.
I heard that. All right. So you talked a little bit about self-care as being political, and right now about decolonization. And I feel like that's all healing, but I'll go ahead and let you answer the question. That's our next question is, how do you envision healing for yourself and the community, and what actions do you take to bring joy and hope into your life?
How I see healing in my community is by engaging with community first. It can be as simple as talking to a neighbor and understanding that we are all a part of the same silo. We're all a part of the same ecosystem. And it's important to stay connected. I think that people forget that as humans, we're social creatures. We need to be social and connect with others in order to be well. And that starts with being around people that you feel safe with and you feel love through. So for me, if I am feeling like I need extra care of self, I really try and integrate with community. Just the other week, I, got a bag and went out and cleaned up some trash in my neighborhood. And it was an act that I did alone. But what I found was that every single person who was outside at that time talked to me and they said thank you, and they started up a conversation with me, and I got to learn about my neighbors, and now they can recognize my face more now that
There's the
they've
trash
had
lady.
that. No. Oh, that's the nice lady who picked up trash in front of my house the other day. I mean, yeah, and I think that people were really shocked and surprised and really pleasantly surprised that I was doing that. And when they would say thank you to me, my response would be, well, this is our community, right? And they would say, yeah, you're totally right. And that was a political statement in itself, to say, I'm a part of community and I'm taking ownership over
Yeah.
this trash that is just, whose responsibility is it? It's ours. And so I was hoping that with that subtle action, I could share with other people that it's that simple to be connected in community and to be connected with the environment. and it doesn't take a lot. It's not very hard. We just have to change the way that we think about things. Whenever you see a piece of trash, it shouldn't be your response to say, well, that's not my trash. Because we are in the same community. We're all benefiting from living here in this great city. So we should all kind of take pride in that and take ownership of that as well.
Yeah, that's great. Did anyone come and pick up trash with you after?
No.
They're like,
No, but
"Oh, she's got it.
I invite
She's
you
got it."
all to come out with me, and participate in that. But, maybe I did open their mind to say to think how easy it could be for them to do that, and maybe someone did, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Or maybe they didn't throw their trash on the ground next time.
Exactly, exactly.
So the second part of this question is about what actions you take to bring joy and hope into your life besides picking up trash and meeting your neighbors.
What? Say it one more time.
What actions do you take? What actions do you take to bring joy and hope into your life?
Sure. I have participated in meditation for a large portion of my life. I was raised by a single mom who I think had a lot of anxiety when I was in her womb. So when I came out of her, I really think that that stuck with me. So meditation has been an active part of my life in maintaining my wellness and my well-being. So, different forms of meditation as well. I know that sometimes staying still and meditating in a traditional sense could be harmful to some folks. So, there's different types of meditation. Now, in my adult life, I participate in movement meditation more than still meditation. So, the way that I do that is by doing poi. If you don't know what poi is, it's like these balls that are attached to strings that you put through your fingers and you spin them around. Sometimes you'll see people do them at like raves and like at nighttime, but you can like attach scarves to them, and it's kind of like a water bender moment as well. So
Cool.
it's very awesome to see. It's very visually satisfying. And I do that outside of my house and in my backyard, and I'll just put on music and just spin them around. And I think it's a nice little light show for my neighbors too. They're like, "What is that going
Uh-huh.
on over there, an alien? I need your alien mask." And then I could be the whole
ET mask.
alien. Yeah, I could be the whole package. But really participating in that type of meditation has been really helpful to me in grounding. And I go to the park all of the time. I'm always physically grounding, taking my shoes off and walking through the earth. And that also really helps stabilize my nervous system. It helps with inflammation. And it's just another form of self care, of taking care of my body. But in all forms of my life, I'm always trying to do better for my vessel and myself. And I think that that just extends to community as well, taking care of each other just as you would take care of yourself.
You got to take care of yourself first before you can take care of anyone
Right,
else.
right. What's that saying about the oxygen mask in the
In the
airplane?
airplane.
Yeah, you got to put your oxygen mask on first before you can help others. For sure.
Exactly. All right, well, we're down to our last question. What do you reimagine for the future of Spokane in terms of environmental justice? And what do you reimagine for the future of Spokane in terms of environmental justice? And what's one simple collective action that people can take to support and get involved?
Sure. So I'm hoping for Spokane's future that we collectively decide that we want to be kind of the poster children for environmental justice. I want other communities to look at us as an example of a community that's come together to really fight the climate injustice that's happening in our neighborhood and surrounding neighborhoods. And I totally think that's possible. We just have to come together and collectively decide that that's what we're going to do and act as a mycelium network and connect with each other and continue to act together. And I think that's totally possible. And I think that we're well on our way. We just have to continue to fight for that.
That's I love that. I would love for Spokane to be the poster child of just all the movement and
Yes.
reimagining not just Spokane but the world and ourselves in it. And so I don't know if there's what you said was like people collectively deciding let's do that. What's like what does that look like in being involved?
That looks like taking time to connect with your community and see what is being done, what should be focused on, what's priority. And there's a lot happening in the world, not only just in our community that needs attention and needs focus. And there are certain things that are happening. It may seem a world away that directly results in things happening in our communities. So we need to, I won't say that we need to, but a way in which we can participate in climate activism is by acknowledging the suffering happening in different places in the world first and understanding how the decisions that we make, both politically and personally, um, affect the way that our world is healthy or is not. So I think that acknowledging those things is first. And then after that, connecting with your community and understanding what you can do in your capacity. Because a lot of our community don't have capacity to go out to events all the time and do the groundwork necessarily. But I think that there is a lot of accessible ways to act for our community as well. So just get connected to organizations like ours and see what we're doing and see how you can help. And that's definitely a start. But I think, again, you have to take care of yourself before you can act. So, like our organization and some of the programs that I'm doing with our organization are really about taking care of yourself so that you can act. So, trying to come to our environmental justice events and seeing how you can simply participate in environmental justice through our events is definitely the number two way to start. But definitely just doing that internal work and seeing how it's all connected is number one.
And how can people find out? How can people find out more about our events and what we're doing environmental justice wise?
Yes, so you can check out our website at aclspokane.org. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
um, And you can also check out our Instagram page where we will post all of our upcoming events, environmental justice focused and otherwise.
What is we also have an Instagram page for our environmental justice program manager that is very specific and exciting and entertaining.
Yes.
Tell
How
us
did I
about that.
forget about my own
Yeah,
Instagram page?
seriously, I thought that's what you're gonna lead with.
Sorry. So my Instagram page, EcoGal you can follow me, and I post a lot of the events and the programs that we're putting on as an organization, but also some things that I'm doing personally. So if you're ever interested in how to start as an individual, you can follow my page and follow along to my journey, and hopefully take some tips and tricks and some information for your own benefit and for ultimately the world's benefit.
And some cute memes of Mudang.
Yay! Cute memes. I'm always a fan of cute memes, and rock music is the same in the same beat.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lea, for joining our team and bringing all of your expertise and lived experience and knowledge to build up our environmental justice program and for sharing about it on our podcast.
Thank you so much, Ryan. I'm happy to be here. I'm grateful.
Yay! On Saturday, October 19th from 12 to 9 p.m. at the Chameleon, come out to vote at our free ballot party, Better World, Better Vote. Agents for Collective Liberation and partners are bringing the party to politics and civic engagement because we can't imagine changing the world without having a little fun. Thank you so much to our sponsor, Empire Health Community Action Fund, our producer, Form Studio, our music producers, Ryan and Kyle, and to our listeners and voters for helping to create a future that we can have now. Thank you for listening to The Future Is Now. Currently, Reimagine Spokane is a program of Asians for Collective Liberation in Spokane. It was the brainchild of Executive Director Ryan Louie as the feeling and energy that we intend to belong and be accessible to everyone so that they can join us and others in creating a new Spokane. For more info, check out our website at reimaginespokane.us and find us on social media at Reimagine Spokane. Better World, Better Vote is just around the corner, and we would love to see you there. Beep!